Hey everybody, Ryan Garland here, founder and chairman of Paradyme. I am honored today, as always, to have Eric Gedalje, my broker, the man of the myth, acquisition specialist, number 16 in the country with EXP.
Number 19.
Number 19. Wait, I thought it was 19. It's still in the teens, dude. It doesn't matter. It could be 12, 11, doesn't matter.
There's haters out there, so I want to make sure everything's right. You know what I mean?
Even Jesus was hated. And he was damn near perfect. Hey, so check it out. So real quick, our sponsor today is 10 Day Doors. They designed and catered, developed this amazing podcast table that's 1,700 pounds, and I hope I never have to move it, but you know how it goes. But I'm really honored, Ryan. Thank you so much for all your support. And they are the manufacturers of our buildings, all of our structural steel for not only the barn caves, Dover, our family office society, and really at the end of the day, they're going to be doing all of our infrastructure for the barn caves for every project we build across the country. So we're honored to have you, and thank you so much for your support. So, Eric, since you're number 19, sorry, not 16 in the country.
United States.
United States EXP. That's impressive.
Wild.
What was your unit count last year?
596.
How big is your team?
We're actually only 16, which is insane. I mean, there's some teams that are huge that are doing 50% less, and they're a top producer.
Yeah. So what do you think the key to your success is then?
You know, all of every single agent of the Gedalje group is so similar in their goal orientation, meaning everyone does this full time at such a high level. And you've had some experiences with some of our agents, and I think your perspective has been the same. You know, Lori Quintero, Priscilla Evans, Jennifer Martell, Jesse Sides, some really quality, classy people that genuinely care about their clients, but they also care about selling as much real estate as humanly possible.
And how many women have been pregnant in the last 12 months on your team?
How has this not been a national story?
I know, it's great. It was like 9 or something. It's been wild.
It's, let's see. So we got Jess, who just had her baby, Peyton. Mm-hmm. So she's not a part of the Fertile Five anymore. We've got Chloe, good, wife of your AC contractor. AC, right? Mm-hmm. She's coming in hot. We've got Brett Sterling's wife, who is pregnant. We've got Montana Martinez, who is pregnant. We have got Caitlin Gedalje, my wife.
Your wife, your first child.
My first child. We're in the fourth quarter. We're in the heat right now. And I see him moving in her stomach.
And I heard through the grapevine you were naming him Ryan. Is that true?
You know, it's close. So like Grayson, like R-E-Y is kind of like Ryan. So
I agree.
Inspired after you, of
Grayson
course.
Short, Ryan for short.
Absolutely.
Got it. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And then middle name Ryan. So it's going to be like Ryan for short, Ryan middle name Gedalje.
I love it.
So we're set there.
Well, you know what? I appreciate it, man, for all the support that you guys have given Paradyme over the years, man. I mean, we've been doing business now for going on 10 plus years, really.
Yeah.
You sold me my first house. What was it, $305,000 or something?
You know what's
like
crazy?
What was
it's like I was newer in the business, and like you and Kara pull up, and you guys are coming in your cool truck and your Anaheim Angels flat bill hat, and I'm like kind of intimidated, and I'm like, wow, these guys are so cool, but they're so nice, and they want to buy like this new construction home, and you guys like didn't judge or anything. Like you guys are just genuinely cool people, and yeah, that was my first experience with you, and you've been like such a relentless supporter of me for the last decade. And yeah, I mean, you're definitely the reason why I even became involved in Paradyme Storage. You weren't even the original developer. You were going to fund the whole thing for the developer. And you said the only way I'm a part of this deal is if Eric Gedalje is the listing broker. That's Ryan Garland.
Yeah. You know what, man? You got to be smart when you're managing other people's money. And you need people with integrity and really know what they're doing if they're going to be exiting the asset, because that's where the money's made.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right group on the exit, you really can be I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen everything under the sun. So if I'm going to come in and fund a deal, I need to make sure that they have the right contractor, the right track record, the right capital staff, the right lenders. The list kind of goes on. But heavily, we have to consider what the exit price is going to be, what your marketing horsepower is going to be, the influence of that individual or brokerage. That type of stuff. Do you do nation? Think about high-end homes in LA, Beverly Hills. They do international type of marketing. So you were really on the forefront of the technology and innovation on marketing due to your age, but also because you're hungry. I've never met another agent as hungry as you, and I'm all over the country. So that was where I knew that I can hang my hat with somebody that's going to be real authentic and just be honest with where the asset's going to stand and even what your future forecast is going to be, because you're tied in with the city, you're tied in politically. I mean, you definitely have a heartbeat of Havasu for sure.
Yeah, no, we talked a lot about this in Tennessee, and I said part of the reason why it was such a no-brainer decision for me to invest in Paradyme was because I see how seriously you take your developments, but more importantly, how seriously you take your investors. And I think just having some family that's also invested in these projects, and just seeing the weight that you carry, and some conversations that you and I have had off record about decisions you would have to make if push came to shove. You care about your investors in such a strong way. And that's why I've always been so public about me personally investing in Paradyme. I kind of kept a low radar about, my real estate portfolio, gotten a little more public with it. But I am so proud to be an investor of Paradyme Storage because of how seriously you take your investors.
Yeah.
Like, you truly don't see any avenue where they make their principal and, hopefully some interest on top.
It's cool, and I really, it means a lot to me because it's not really just me; it's my whole entire team. Everybody within the Paradyme, firm has just it runs through their DNA. They don't, and it was the individuals. When you look at each individual that kind of have more of a management aspect of the company, when you look at who they are personally, they're the same way. They just have so much support. They love everybody. And really, at the end of the day, these investors we get to know personally. You kind of get to understand the hardships that they've been through, whether it's divorces, illnesses, cancers, loved ones dying, kind of list it. Anything that has to do with life's hardships. So you don't really have another option but to start having a deeper rooted fight for these investors. And I think what's happened is, about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago even, having tattoos was like uncommon in business. As things, as the world has evolved and people are becoming more accepting, I think what you're seeing is, yes, our track record speaks volumes and investors don't look at that as consideration, but I think what's happening is in the back of their mind, they're going, yeah, but Ryan's also a pit bull. And at the end of the day, what do you want to protect your money? Or, and that's, I think that's really has shifted the culture within the firm is, investors are seeing the hard decisions, but they also see that I won't stop fighting. And they've also, a lot of them have read my book, and I cut my teeth in 2008 in the distressed space. So all of our practices are kind of like plan for the worst, hope for the best, right? So.
And I hear your conversations firsthand. Ultimately, if it's a conversation with a subcontractor or maybe a dispute where there was a date that was promised and we've run long, or a pricing change, no one value engineers better than you and Josh. And I think having that defense, and hearing you have a conversation and say you're 2 weeks late. Do you have Lori's retirement in the back of your mind? No, I'm the one that's running this for her. I'm responsible for this project. That timeline doesn't work, and that price increase doesn't work. We have a budget. We promised our investors a specific return, and I'm responsible for Lori, Jessica, and Nancy's retirement. So you literally take that as if it was yours.
Yeah, we have 400 clients now spread out all of our projects, and so absolutely. And it's funny that you said that. It was not too long ago. I had probably a group of subs, and I'm not going to list them, but that just happened where they were over budget and they were taking longer. And I went to one of them, and I kind of knew already, but I pull on people's heartstrings. But I looked at them and I said, hey, do you have a daughter? And they're like, yeah, I actually have 3 daughters. I said, great. Well, imagine if one of your daughters died on the operating table of the age of 9 and you invested the life insurance policy after you spent every dollar you had, including your parents and grandparents, out of their savings, retirements, 401ks, IRAs, to try to keep your daughter alive. And she passed away, and the only thing you had left of her was a life insurance payout. And you decided to put that money with me because you trusted me. Now, what do you want me to go tell them? What would I tell you?
I love it.
What would you want me to tell you, that these contractors over here, I'm not holding them accountable because they're just lacking, and I'm watching you I have cameras everywhere. I know what time you're getting here. I know what time you're leaving. I watch this stuff, and silent crickets. And honestly, they came down on the time, or they cleaned up the time, and they cleaned up the budget. And I'm not trying to do that to pull on people's heartstrings. What I'm trying to do is create compassion for everybody who's on this job site, knowing that, okay, I really appreciate the respect because they have to answer to me, but I also have to answer to other people. So at the end of the day, we have to deliver. And I don't care. My investors don't care about what the problems are. This is their retirement money. They've worked 30 years, 35, 40 years. They've been through hell in their personal lives, and they want to do everything they can to protect that money. So that's all I care about. So if I can, I guess, talk to, the people that are operating on the site in a way that pulls on their heartstrings and kind of get them to connect to me and why I'm so stern or why I'm trying to push so hard. They don't take it personally. They kind of get in the same boat with the same row, if you will. That's the whole idea. So really it comes down to just more of a higher level of communication, showing less emotion, but giving them facts. And that's really helped me kind of get the ball rolling. But that's why right before this podcast, we were talking about, what other projects we want to take on, and do we want to do Ozarks or Nashville or Austin, Texas? I'm kind of up and down, but I would say we're starting to get the keys of the city here. You know? We have all of our team, all of our subs, our contract, all of our stuff is here. So I'd have to reinvent the wheel wherever I go. I see more opportunity here. We're starting to see the demand more. There's there's no shortage of desire for people to retire and come out to Lake Havasu. So I think ultimately, if we stay inside the financial realm of affordability, attainability, and what have you, we'll probably do okay on exiting products. But we want to deliver something that people want, what caters to people's lifestyle, healthcare, health and wellness, right? All that stuff you have to be focused on, and that's ultimately what Paradyme overall, our firm, is to focus on giving and delivering value. So, all right, with that said, brother, let's talk a little bit about Havasu and what's going on in the market. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Q4 last year, super slow. I did a market update and told my investors, I said, guys, look, talk about anxiety and stress, but it was also something we knew was coming anyways with the elections and what have you. But in the last 2 months, we've seen a lot more activity, and I would have to agree that the activity is different than the kind of scare tactics that I think we're seeing on, the news. I feel that we're not feeling the pressure compared to the type of fear that the news is creating. And that's why I like having me and you collabing literally every day, because you're giving me real updates on people and what they're doing. So what happened just now? You got 1-2 people in contract today.
Yeah.
So that changes things. Tell me a little bit, what's your thoughts?
I think people really need to hyper focus on Lake Havasu and the geographic region of which it lies, 4.5 hours away from Southern California and its biggest cities, the Inland Empire, the ocean cities, and then you think 3.5 hours east and you get into Phoenix, Scottsdale, and some of the wealthiest areas in the state. Lake Havasu has become the most in-demand retirement destination in the country, and it made the top 10 list that just came out. And I think that the reason for that is when you scale it down to the ridiculously cheap property taxes, the fact that this is one of the last lakes left without a speed limit, the safety, the lack of traffic, the overall energy that you feel when you're here. There's no secret why tons of Southern Californians are continuing to choose Lake Havasu as their retirement destination. And if they're not quite ready for retirement, they're on that 5-year plan to make Lake Havasu their home. So that's why you're seeing residential developments like the villas and neighboring brother and sister developments to Paradyme Storage, such as North Point, Viewpoint, and the Refuge. All these housing developments with underground utilities, 700,000 to 2 million. They're still doing so incredibly well, even with high interest rates and conversations about all these Trump tariffs. So pretty special.
So what do you see mostly? Do you feel that people are buying second homes? Are you starting to see more people kind of migrating here full time? And then the other question would be 1031 exchanges and kind of more the investment mindseted buyers. Kind of tell me a little bit about both sides.
Yeah, here's the exact answer. There's no question that if someone buys a home here in Havasu, even if it's for a second home, eventually that residence is going to be a primary. And now we're starting to see it in people in their late 30s and early 40s. It's no longer just 50s, 60s, and 70s. So the desire, the demand to be in Havasu is just there for so many different reasons. And I don't want to bag on Southern California, but from top to bottom, the quality of life that people experience in Lake Havasu is the exact reason why they want to live here. So a lot of second homes. There's still no restrictions on Airbnb in Lake Havasu. So you see a lot of people that can't quite fully swing a second home, offset their expenses with Airbnb. Our Southern Californians that have done really well, that are on the 5-year plan, retired contractors, they've done really well. You know, they're in the 800,000 to 2 million. You know, they buy the house, they come out every weekend, they can't quite retire yet, but eventually, I mean, very refined clientele that we've been experiencing, you know, over the last 5 years, as opposed to 2007 and 8, where it was all secondary purchases, you know, with unqualified buyers. The Havasu market has erupted with refined clientele.
You know, I had a conversation with a client this morning about a deferred sales trust, and ultimately it was they were selling a business, and it's very similar to the 1031 exchange practices, you know, like for like, but you defer the taxes, and instead of paying Uncle Sam, you defer it, and then you use that money and you invest it and generate more cash flow or, you know, more, you know, in essence, profit. And what was kind of nice is that I would agree with you. The 2007, 2008 GFC was very unique because people didn't know what to do. Now people are making epic moves and they're not shy to do it. They'll take a haircut here. It doesn't matter. They want to make moves to retain the capital that they have and start chasing that piece and all those years of hard work and make sure that they're set up. And that's what I'm realizing now. Out of the barn caves, as you know, we have 32 or 33, I think now, investors that are also wanting to buy these things. Mm-hmm. Because of them being 3 to 4 years out, some of these investors are going, hey, we're retiring in 2 years, 3 years, whether it's law enforcement or a nurse or healthcare, whatever. And they're going, well, this will be perfect. Can I buy in that phase around this time of year? Because that's when we'll be retiring. So I would agree. And at the end of the day, the thing that I love about Lake Havasu is because it's such a heavy retirement destination. The middle of the baby boomers retirement generation is 2033, the middle of it.
Yeah.
We have another 8 years before we even get there. So at the end of the day, I think we have a really good run catering to that market. Therefore, Lake Havasu I don't think is going to slow down. In fact, I think it's going to continue to pick up because operators, developers like me, and there's a lot of them, are starting to build things that people want. They're starting to really pay attention to restaurants. They're starting to pay attention to healthcare. They're bringing in the infrastructure, what people really want and need, and that's going to make the area more desirable. And if you can keep costs down, taxes, lifestyle, you know, getting all the toys that you want and be able to live that lifestyle, right? Going out your backyard and going out in the hills or two miles and you're dropping your boat in the water. Dude, I mean, now it's just water, gas, and, you know, a good time on the water as an example. But I think that is becoming more common because what I'm also seeing is that as people retire, they start to enjoy their lives. All of their friends that are right behind them that want to retire,
They follow. 100%.
And they want to be around their friends and their family. You know, my father came out here because he had a bunch of friends that retired from the sheriff's department. Now he's golfing with those guys every week. So it's 100% what's happening. These guys are all retiring and all their friends behind them go, man, I want to live your lifestyle and you live like kings out there. I'm going with you.
We've had clients that we've sold homes to. Their friends come out that weekend, never been to Havasu before, and they end up buying something. And that's because Havasu is still in the growth phase, even though we're seeing land availability diminish and diminish. People come out here, they see Havasu, they see the lifestyle, and the energy is just contagious. So yeah, they certainly come in flocks, almost with storage units. We had a couple of our clients who bought homes in the foothills. That same group each bought a unit here. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild.
And the foothills isn't a short feat too, you know, but what you're getting are people that just don't have enough room. You know, the ongoing kind of story and kind of what we all laugh about is you could drive by somebody's house and you look through their garage and they have more money in toys than they do in the house.
Exactly. If you're watching this or listening to this and you've never been to Lake Havasu, it is pretty spectacular when you drive around to see the size of these RV garages. But the catch is they get filled up so quickly because once you live here, you want the boat and then you want the RV, but then you want some jet skis and then you want a golf cart and then you want to go with your friends off-roading. So the limit, you know, these units fill up so quickly. So a lot of what we're seeing here at Paradyme is simply toy overflow from all of the toys that these people accumulate, you know, over the couple of years that they start living here.
How many RVs do you think JR Motors has behind them? Right here, across the street from us, 90 degrees. How many of those units do you think they have out there? 200 units? Joe, how many units do you think they have over there?
It's got to be.
At least over 100. I think they have more than that. I think they have 200 units, whether it's fifth wheels, RVs, what have you. But that'll give you an idea, literally across the street, you know?
I don't know. The people I showed today they literally don't even know exactly what they're going to put in their unit, but they just love the concept of a storage unit that's insulated and has air conditioning. They're like, we can actually purchase these. And now people can finance them because of the relationship that we worked out with Foothills Bank and upgrading our insurance policy, constantly leveling up at Paradyme. So now we just had our first sale where someone actually is putting down 25%. Financing the rest, which I think is awesome. But, you look at the attraction, gentleman out of Vegas who's buying 4 units, selling his building. We had a client from Indiana sell 2 duplexes and rolled that in a 1031 exchange over to 9 units that Ryan leased, for him in a matter of 3 weeks, fully occupied. And now we call the owner to see if he has any availability. And he's always full. So, you look at it for people that buy these units as investments. There's people knocking at the door that want to spend $550 to rent a 14 by 50 foot unit. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, not only that, you have, and I'll piggyback off that, but the investment sector is really growing. So the 1031 exchange, but you have people that are retiring and they do have 401ks and they're going, okay, well, we can sell our home over here and maybe some other, assets or what have you. Our kids are set up in college. We're good. Let's go ahead and go buy that house cash, but we still have a little bit left over. Let's get something that's going to create cash flow because their cash flow in essence has ended because they retired.
Right.
So now they're going, what's a small entry point that we believe has future growth and appreciation, but in an area that we know is growing, hence the north side here, or really anywhere in Havasu. But let's just say, well, I'm picking on Paradyme Storage. And now people are going, hey, I can put money in there. And they're really looking at it as true viable investments. I have people that are coming out of Airbnbs because of how crazy sometimes these houses are getting with parties out here during 4th of July and some of these 3-day weekends and what have you. And they're 1031 exchanging out of their Airbnbs because they don't want to deal with the headache and buying these units just to cash flow. And when you look at the returns, it's very similar to some of those Airbnbs. It depends on the nature, but you have consistent cash flow, you don't have turnover, they pay all the HOAs, and you have zero maintenance, literally no maintenance. So we're getting people from all over the country to really start paying attention to this asset class as a viable investment. Instead of doing a step up in your basis and going to a single family rental, if you're really trying to downsize and take on less stress, people are really paying attention to this as being the right investment for them.
Yeah, and vice versa. Maybe they're not making as much as they were in their Airbnb, but for example, the gentleman who bought 9, for him, it's mailbox money. He's not getting the call for the broken toilets and the leaking ceiling and the hot and cold being reversed in the shower. I mean, it's literally no overhead. So people love that. And the fact that these units have their own electric meters, they just pass that bill on to the tenant and it's pure cash flow.
Yeah, and the HOAs deal with all of it.
Yeah.
You can you rent it out, the HOA charges $25. They get their own key. Literally, the owner does nothing.
God bless Amy Tilness.
I know, she's doing great. I love her. They have 135 units over there? So we were close. I'll just say we're 50-50. But yeah, 200 units, 150 to 200 units. That's a lot. And I feel like there's more over there, but that's a lot.
It's gotten to a point where our pricing is so competitive that you see these units come up for sale that are steel boxes with no upgrades, no climate control. These units turn into infernos in the summertime and bake up to 140 degrees. You can buy a 50-footer for $126,500 that comes with air conditioning. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, the 2 tours we just did, they're like, wow, this is cheaper than the building we looked at that was built in 1985. That's a steel box for $120,000. So our pricing is incredibly competitive.
Yeah, I had an investor this morning come out, female, been single mom for 30 years, owned a business, sold it, did not get a DST, so a deferred sales trust, had to pay Uncle Sam $1 million in taxes, not happy about it, comes out here and looks at this and goes, what are you selling them for? And I told her what the smaller and larger unit sells for. And she goes, wait, hold on. And so she's telling me about some of the properties, she's from Colorado. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wait, what? You can get this for that price? Out there, it's much more expensive. And she goes, maybe I want to buy one of these, and I want to invest in the barn caves. So what's happening is I think even and I say it respectfully, the sophisticated people that have the experience, that have seen some other developers do what we've done, they come out here and go, wait, hold on. I can get that. I can park my RV in there. I can even turn it into an investment when I'm ready. But I can also invest over to the barn caves. And what they're doing is they're correlating development, appreciation, low entry point. And they're going, wow, I can get a whole lot more for this. And you're providing ACs, and you have fully insulated units, and you guys have security. Wait, wait, hold on. And you're on site all the time kind of thing, and I'm like, yep, I'm here, So it's really kind of cool because I feel like there's every walks of life that comes through here. And when you get a chance to hear and listen to what their backgrounds are and how they made their money and how they did set themselves up, it's been pretty cool to see that diversification of people here. And that makes me feel pretty happy.
I want to talk real quick about the long buildup leading up to the Barn Caves approval. We were planning this for over a year. 7-0 unanimous planning and zoning and city council.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a conversation last week, and I just want this to be on the record. We had one city council member have to recuse herself from the vote because she invested in Barn Caves.
So I'll tell you the story. So I didn't know this. Did I tell you that I didn't know this? I didn't know.
No, you had to confirm it. You're like,
Yeah,
why
so
is this person recusing?
And she wasn't there, but she was online. So she removed herself. And I have Rob, our architect, one of our architects. And I lean over to Rob. I'm like, is that a problem? He goes, no, she has a conflict of interest.
You're like,
I'm
why?
like, why would she have a conflict of interest? He goes, I don't know. Maybe she invested or something. So I go, okay. So I text, Brianna, my controller, and I'm like, hey, did such and such invest into the Barn Caves?
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, she invested on Saturday. And I'm like, we got this in the bag, But how cool is that? I mean,
well, I watched the whole session, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, cool, we got unanimous, but why is this girl recusing herself?
Mm-hmm. I was
Insane.
confused.
I don't know if I've ever seen a city council member invest in a development that knew was coming up on the agenda. So
Well, and it was nice because I continue to hear through the grapevine the amount of support we're getting from pretty much every individual that was on there. And of course, they have their concerns and they have things that have to fall within line with their guidelines and things that they've adjusted. And they gave us our height variance request.
everything.
They literally gave us everything we wanted.
Yeah.
And they looked at this and were like, wow, you guys are really bringing something to the north side that is absolutely needed. And when there was a couple of them that really started paying attention to who we were as a firm overall. So when you look at Paradyme Storage, 225,000 square feet, the Barn Caves with the gym is about 530,000 square feet all in. Well, look at the mall, Home Depot, and Walmart, all of that retail, that is collectively 730,000 square feet. So if you look at what we're developing compared to to the existing structures, we're almost identical, 740,000 square feet. Yeah. So I think the city's kind of taking it pretty serious, going, well, these guys are coming in and doubling the square footage of what that mall is right there on the north side. So, when then it's residential, and residential that close to retail creates what you call density bonus. Over time, the owners that are buying this, not right now, they're not paying an increase in price, but when they go to sell it, they'll get a density bonus as that mall continues to grow. And as you have certain retailers come in and you have certain anchor tenants come in, which changes the value of that retail shopping center. What'll happen is the homeowners now have an increase in value simply because it's so close to retail, live, work, play. When you can get that close to half, it's anchored by a grocery store. You got Walmart there,
right?
And if you look at some of the larger institutions, Goldman. So Goldman in 2020, they announced two things. One, that they're gonna invest into multifamily that is anchored by like high rises that are anchored by a grocery store. If you look at the building that they did on 1200 Broadway in Nashville, anchored by a Whole Foods. Right? And then they had office, then residential, so more mixed use. And the other funny part, but I love it, is that they're not going to invest into a large operator or a big development company unless a female is on the board. So that was their two big announcements for 2020. And this is at the end of 2020 when the pandemic, all that money was being pumped in because things were going wild. But the point is that anytime you have that much retail and residential, which you have a grocery store that close, think about McCulloch, Albertsons, think about Smith's, all of that. It's just the way it goes. So homes will typically increase in value over time because you have those, in essence, amenities next to you.
So let's get into the Barn Caves a little bit because I just, talking about the anchors and, the location, it all makes a ton of sense. I mean, the north side has been ripe for growth and, everyone talks about the fact that they want more housing in Lake Havasu. Well, how about 97 units? All with oversized garages, and everyone's talking about the garages, but not enough people are talking about the living. If you've seen the renderings on these units, they are absolutely insane. You are not cutting any corners. What are your thoughts on the interiors on this? Where's the inspiration coming from? They look amazing.
So, I've traveled and I've done a lot of loans, right? So we built a 3-story product in Denver. So 45 units of townhomes in Lakewood. So very similar to this, pitched roofs, but they did have shared walls. It was condo mapped. One building had 5 units. And the bottom floor had a 2-car garage, kind of an alley, and then it had a bedroom downstairs with a bathroom, and then you go up to the second floor, and then you had all your living space. You had your kitchen, your living room, and so depending on the unit size, 2 extra bedrooms, laundry room, pantry, all the fun stuff, and then your third bedroom was a master suite. And that sold out so fast. And when you start looking at that product across the country, whether it's high dense areas or even kind of outskirts secondary markets, that 3-story product around retail is most desirable. So what's wild is that it does cater to a lot of different generations. So it can be older groups. When I say older groups, ones that are somewhat healthy because there are a lot of stairs. So that's the concern. Now with the barn caves, because this is such a focus on retirement, I knew that I couldn't just have that many stairs. Now, one big thing to consider, and that not a lot of people have thought of, is you got to remember, we're doing an RV garage. This is almost double the height of a regular garage.
Right.
So you don't have just like one flight. You have like 4 flights of stairs almost in this one product. So it would be very important for whoever would have developed something like this to put an elevator in this thing, and not just any elevator. Something that's quiet, something that's reliable, something that has a good service agreement, something if something happens, someone's out there quickly to fix it, something that's got a good reputation, and something that's done via air. So we really are bringing in this unbelievable technology that this pump turns on once a month, and it just transfers air to push the cylinder up and down into the floors, and you can't hear it.
Wow.
So whether you're sleeping on whatever floor, all you're going to hear those doors open and close. You're not going to hear that shout. I mean, you probably hear it, kind of
A
little bit,
Yeah.
but and the air really transferring. But that's pretty much it. But I would say the inspiration came from. I know this is funny, but when I love going into Manhattan and New York.
Yeah.
And when you walk down New York, when you're on the streets, it smells like trash because they put all the trash out by the door. And you're walking around, it's just like, it's like icky. But as soon as you walk inside one of these buildings, you're like, whoa, what just happened? You're like a different culture, different atmosphere. But some of those higher end areas, they have these 2-story apartments that you can buy for $50 million, $60 million. I'm sure you've seen some of these all over the country too, Houston.
Yeah.
But they in high rises. And I had, when I went to, and a little backstory too, when I moved my headquarters to Nashville in January of 21. I got out of California, moved my headquarters to Nash. When I moved out there, I was in that building I just mentioned on Broadway, and I just got a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment there just to kind of get a lay of the land of where I wanted to open my office. Office obviously kept getting worse, so we didn't open up an office. I just stayed remote. But I kept moving up with inside the building, and they had 2-story penthouses. And when I walked into the 2-story penthouse, now of course I couldn't afford one, but when I walked in there, I looked up, I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. It felt like a $2 or $3 million house here in Lake Havasu that was 5,000 square feet. You couldn't believe it. And it's so now I know why people are paying 20 grand a month to be there. It's unbelievable. But if you can make it feel like that without that price tag, you got something strong. And that was the idea, is to create this, like, I'm not in Lake Havasu, I'm somewhere in Europe, right? Because with the way I'm creating the master bath and shower. And then you have, the elevator that's a little bit more at ease, but a decent sized elevator. You could put stuff in there, have 4 people go up it at one time. I mean, just, so all of these little things.
And then it translates into the lifestyle. So you've got pickleball courts, you've got a state-of-the-art gym, you've got an area for dogs. I mean, plenty of parking. You guys even went back to the drawing board and increased parking accessibility too.
Well, all the way down, like even the garage, right? So on one side of the garage, so they're 28 by 70. So you have one unit 74 feet deep. But on one side of the garage, you have your standard 14-foot RV garage, right? And then on the opposite side, it's a full drive-through. You have a standard 2-car, 10-foot tall garage, but they're 20 feet wide. They're double wides. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, the idea is for the people who wanted to be there more full-time, you have the ease of kind of everyday living, more economical use of going to the store and coming back. You go through the standard 2-car garage. But if you have your big RV, you go through the big RV garage. So you can kind of maneuver your toys around so you don't have to take cars in and out, and you have more room and more space. 70 feet. I mean, we're in one that's 60 feet. Look how much we have in here. So you had that component. But what I think was like kind of the real kicker was that gym. I think a lot of people are going, wait, hold on. There's this residential component that the HOAs aren't covering the cost of maintaining the gym. but you're giving me a 32,000 square foot gym with state-of-the-art equipment, all Arsenal equipment, Nautilus equipment, literally the best of the best. And this is exactly what I've been looking for out here, because this is heavy in health and wellness. And I think there's some additional data supporting that people are, just given the nature of the market right now, they don't believe in big pharma anymore. A lot of physicians are going more holistic, and they're telling their patients, hey, go to eating good, working out. And so if you look at the data supporting gyms, more people are actually going to gym. Gym memberships are exploding. That's why EOS, as a private equity firm, bought out Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
Right? You're seeing more of those larger institutional trades because it is a viable business that people can buy into, and a lot of them own the real estate. So you get all these tax. It's just a huge play across the board, from desirability to capital, and it just makes sense to.
So this isn't my podcast. I'm just a guest, but if you're listening to this and you haven't invested in barn caves yet, I really want to know why. Because you hear about this passion, the planning that went into everything, 97 units, multiple floor plans, elevators to make sure we don't miss on demographic, lifestyle, location that's anchored by big shop, Walmart. I mean, that doesn't get much bigger than that.
Dillard's, JCPenney.
I mean, you're even welcoming people that are investing, a nominal amount. I mean, not that that's a small amount of money, but literally the opportunity to invest in real estate and have a 31% return annualized, I think, is insane when you have this much excitement, this much interest, and already so many committed to this project.
Well, it's really, I tell everybody, they look at me as the face, which is great because it is my idea. But it's the team that we pulled together that's really making it happen, because I couldn't do this without a huge team. But let's talk about the two architects, Rob, Sampson over at Selberg.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're probably the biggest guys here, the most well-known. They do all kinds of custom work, but they love storage. They did all this product here. But he knows the area. He knows what the city wants. He's politically tied in. He's the biggest player here in town. I started the design with him. We came up with the right design. Then to monetize that design into the luxury lifestyle I really wanted, I wanted to go to another architect that can bring in not only just that kind of fine-tuned touch of the higher end, but I wanted to bring in somebody that had engineering in-house. That was really important for me. So then I went and met Stephen Beagle at Place in Broadview. Now, Stephen is known for remodeling the Pentagon, and Troopty, which is that runs the engineering department, ran the engineering and design for the Cowboy Stadium. So the sophistication of individuals that are involved just from a design side is, to my opinion, I mean, I could go toe to toe with anybody in the country.
Yeah, Stephen's
the
no
best.
joke.
He's no joke. He's a private equity minded guy. He's buying other architectural firms right now, another firm. He's a smart guy. But he has seen it all, and he's got a lot of stuff that he's designed over the last, I think he's been doing it going on, 50 years, Joe, when we met him? How long has it been? 50 years. Yeah. And then his sphere on top of that. But yeah, he's doing, billion-dollar transactions and billion-dollar, projects. And I mean, the biggest projects with the biggest developers in the country. So when he comes to us, he goes, well, we designed this and we did this. And he's now he's saving me money. So with somebody with that much experience is coming to me going, okay, I know what you want to do. We did this over here and we had a learning experience with that. We did this over here and now we can start doing some, let's say, structural engineering for the steel like this, and we can get the steel costs down. So when you bring in that sophistication, you're really bringing in the experience of things that they've built in the past that cater to what it is I'm trying to do. So now, it may cost us a little bit more to hire him, but he's saving me millions of dollars through the construction methods. So a lot of developers don't see it as that, especially out here. They look at, I need to save money in every little corner, and that's where you actually make mistakes and get caught. But ultimately, with all of that talent and all the experience is really kind of where we landed with the barn caves and obviously a 3-story gym.
Yeah, no, Sean and Eric, fantastic. I mean,
Trico.
Great guys.
Civil.
Yep, Dennis and Takai cranking on the building side. Josh
Takai invested, by the way, my superintendent.
Yeah. So superintendent investing, electrician investing, real estate broker investing. I mean, I think that's just a testament to your leadership and your vision and creating these amazing projects that, I mean, let's talk about why they're so amazing too. How you're able to market these projects. I think you created the draw on barn caves is insane. I mean, the diversity in the demographics, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, maybe some in their early 80s, all the way down to, people in their 30s that have never made a real estate investment before. Mm-hmm. You and your team were able to create the biggest draw for a real estate project in marketing that I think's ever been seen in Havasu. And I've been a part of pretty much everything.
Well, I would say, thank you for that. I would say there's a couple of things. One, the idea was to try to create awareness. So you have to have certain marketing practices to do that. PR, the right group, the right brand, the right vision, because everyone judges a book by its cover. So how do you get people to see something and stick onto it, right? So at the end of the day, we wanted to implement more high-level, marketing practices, and I've been doing this for so long. I've probably got $10 million in infrastructure just in the 5 years of really doing the crowdfunding side. But remember, I started crowdfunding in 2014 when you could do mass solicitation from the Jobs Act in 2013. I've seen Realty Mogul, Realty Shares fail, $800 million. Yeah. I've seen all the crowdfunding companies, what they do and what they don't do. And I'm not going to go into that, but what we wanted to create was something that people can see and feel. And that's why those 3D goggles people put on and can walk through a house, it makes you feel like you're close. So that's the whole idea, is to get people closer, and not only to the project to see what the end result is, but to understand what they're getting themselves into, how we're actually accomplishing this development and getting it to where you are making money. How do we get there? So you have to kind of paint that picture, and without that detail, you can't do it. So really, I look at Lake Havasu as that blank canvas. God can't paint a masterpiece unless it's on a blank piece of canvas, right? So it's something my father told me a long time ago. But that's the idea. It's kind of coming in with this blank canvas and going, how can we cater to the market? So, ears to the ground. What's relevant? Barn dominiums is relevant.
Oh, in a big way.
Steel buildings is relevant, just because the methods, it can go across the country, different atmospheres and weather activity and so on and so forth, along with insurance. Look at what happened in California with all the fires and so forth. That has been a movement that I've seen for a long time. So the cost of homeowners insurance is down with steel buildings. Now, our last podcast, as an example, we're using new technology for fire sprinkler systems that inside here, inside your garage, we'll have 2 fire sprinkler heads that identify a fire. It turns and sprays the fire.
Wow.
So it doesn't pop off everything in your entire house and destroy your house. It identifies that fire early on, and it sprays directly on that, and then it sets the alarm, it calls the fire department, and gives people more time to get out. And so instead of the heat getting up, no, it detects that fire way earlier, and then the likelihood of salvaging your home, saving lives goes up. So that technology is where insurance companies are going to want to see down the road. Fire inspectors are going to love that type of stuff. It's going to be more innovative. So it's those type of details that you want to implement to get people to feel more comfortable that we really are on the front lines to think it through, but it's not increasing the cost to our development because we're doing it in volume.
Right.
And then those groups, we're going to them saying, we will market you and build awareness that we're putting your stuff in our product. And they're like, that's all we want. They want awareness too. So the idea is to say, hey, everybody who's a part of this, we want to help elevate. Because when we're elevating them, their businesses are naturally going to grow, but we're reaping the benefit of the cost break on it, because they're like, if you're going to help us, tell the world, then we're going to save you on the cost. So now it's a win-win for not the investors, but everybody else. Hence the podcast, hence the marketing. And I will say, the last and not least, biggest and most important component to being able to actively get this in front of the right people is that man right there, Mr. Joe. So
Joe.
my best friend, basically, and you're my best friend. So
Joe.
I want to see you guys arm wrestle, see who wins.
Roman.
But here's how it goes. Joe, the thing that I love about Joe and I actually broke up one time. I hired him, then we broke up. And
I heard
rehired
about
him.
it.
Yeah, it had to do with me moving the company. But yeah,
counseling.
And then what Joe does very well. Joe is really truly an artist, but where Joe's art form comes from is how he was raised and his hardships. What happens is Joe's taking all of this energy, and then he has 2 ears, and he's listening, and he sees it with me. So he's like, I see where you're going. We spend so much time together that I'm able to just articulate the overall objective along with what we're trying to accomplish. He's in these meetings with me. So everywhere we go, because I have made the choice to have him with me everywhere I go, just to document all of the things that we're doing, because it's relevant for video marketing. What's happening is, even though he's not doing a video with me, I'm taking him with me to the lunch meetings. I'm coming with him for the dinner because he's got to eat, right? And that's our agreement. So what's happening is he's sitting in all these meetings. Well, over time, what's happened is he's caught on on how this company is ran, he could probably pitch the Barn Caves investment more than anybody else within the company. And he does my video, right?
Identify bad apples.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he's my biggest. Yeah, he keeps people away from me at point. But that's the idea. So now what he's doing is now that the Paradyme brand, the company, the investors, the conversations with investors, the compassion for people's hardships, all of the things that I listed before. Joe is taking that and going, I know exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And then he creates it. And every time he creates something, very rarely do I say, change this, change that. For the most part, he's landed it every time. And because he's been so good, we've been able to elevate at a different pace because he cared enough to listen and implement. And now he's pumping out stuff faster than most companies. So now we're building awareness faster, hence where we are today. So really at the end of the day, it's all of these things that all the boxes have to be checked. But I will say that without Joe, the world wouldn't know. So I have to give Joe a lot of credit for that. So Joe, I love you, brother.
Joe's the man. I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him.
And everybody knows you because of Joe with Paradyme too. So.
Did you see that video we filmed where he asked Siri who the best realtor was in Havasu?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I don't think I did. Who did it say? Who was it? Swipe by it.
You were one of those 2-second swipers.
No, I liked it though.
Anyway,
I don't want to underestimate. I like everything you post.
Just the innovation, like he's always open to new ideas. You know, if I come up with something, it's not like he just looks at it and does it. He actually is like, hey, let's try to put this together. I mean, we've filmed quite a few videos now as we've sold over 100 units. You know,
it's
like
more
you
than
said.
That. How much is it now?
I think we're at 110.
Yeah, it's
110.
more than that.
So, you know, like you said, it's the team as a whole that has contributed to the success. But it's nice to have, you know, you as a leader, you know, at the forefront here, closing 110 units. We're on the brink of a brand new building, Building E, which will then move to Building F, and then our final phase of Paradyme Storage, Building G, Millionaires Row.
Millionaires Row.
Why aren't people talking about Millionaires Row? Because they're talking about the barn caves. But
who was it? It was Symphony. She texted us today and said, "How many inquiries?" Did you have?
I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but there were 8 inquiries about the barn caves over the weekend, and unfortunately, the barn caves are not quite here yet. But if you'd like to invest, I can send you to Ryan Garland.
Yeah, it's what we have. I know, and I've been saying 500 for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So I know it's way more than I don't. We get them so much and so often, we don't know. But I would honestly say, Joe, what do you think? 1,000 people in the CRM of barn caves buyer or more?
I would say over 1,000.
But
oh, easy.
definitely keep your eyes though on Building G, Millionaires Row. These are going to be 28 by 77 units with balconies, man caves. I mean, these were
mezzanines.
They were pioneered in the foothills. There were only 8 of them. They sold like hotcakes.
You have one.
Yeah, I do.
And I love it.
But no, I mean, it's
but you're in your wait, hold on real quick. It's your father-in-law has his car in there, so you can't put your stuff in there. Is that what it is? That's right. That's what it is. So you married for love.
What's 2.5?
You gave her, you gave the old man your man cave to park his stuff, and you're not even using it. And now you're coming and hanging out with me.
Did you guys hear the story about, really quick, how I had to sacrifice my dog, Ava, for Caitlin because Caitlin has a dog, an aggressive dog that's not good with other animals? I tell Lori and Chuck all the time.
So you really did marry for love.
Dude, I want to know if you can top this. So anyone listening, I had a little dog, Shih Tzu Terrier, my first dog, and you know, I've evolved into my love for dogs. Like I love dogs, but Ava was my first dog. I meet Caitlin. Caitlin has a dog named Sugar Cookie, who is very animal aggressive.
Sugar Cookie.
Oh, Sugar's my girl now. I mean, we could.
You took over.
So Caitlin, one time, she just basically tells me she doesn't know if it's gonna work because and I'm thinking she's talking about her dog, but she's actually talking about us. That's how much she loved her dog Sugar because of my dog Ava. So I had to give my dog to Caitlin's parents as her new owners so that Caitlin could move in with me. So I literally sacrificed my dog. Lori and Chuck, I'm still waiting for my goddamn medal. I want a medal. And on top of that, I'm letting Chuck park his hot rod in my truck. We're going on 30 months. 30 months times the fair market rent. It's got to be $500 for that space. What are we clocking in now?
It's a lot.
Oh, I'm a good son-in-law.
It's like $30,000.
Oh, wow.
How much was your dog?
Oh God, no, she was just a rescue. But no, but anyway, the man caves are going to be really special. Building G, Millionaires Row. So like everyone who's talking about barn caves, Paradyme Storage is still the talk of Lake Havasu. It's the best storage development in Lake Havasu, and that's proven by fact because it's the only complex that has insulation and air conditioning, and it's the most good-looking project. Like, you literally have to drive through this project and be like, are these storage units? They look so modern, so futuristic. So Paradyme Storage is priced more competitively than these steel boxes that hit the market. So pricing, appeal, amenities. Don't forget about Paradyme Storage.
All right, so one last thing before we go. I would consider you and I very, very, very close friends, right?
Oh my God.
So
Hopefully no one ever sees our text
I'm gonna
messages.
do this publicly. I know. I'm going to do this publicly.
Or DMs too.
Yeah, or DMs. So I have a confession to make, but I couldn't figure out a way to do it because you have cameras all over your house.
Oh God.
Have you ever seen those fainting goats? Did I not? I had Mandy find me a fainting goat. And on your birthday, I was going to figure out a way to put that damn goat in your backyard. And dead serious, I had the goat ready to order. It was going to be delivered on a certain time and date. I was working with some of your team to make sure you were gone. And I was going to put a fainting goat in the back of... Yeah, we were going to hide camera. We were going to do it all. And I was going to put a fainting goat in your backyard. And then I would know...
Oh my God.
What would happen?
I'd be in the newspaper.
And I would text you and I would say, hey, happy birthday. Make sure you look in the backyard. So immediately when you see it, you knew it would be from me. And then I would come over and you guys would be like, what did you do with this goat? Because I live around the corner from you. What are you doing with it? Why'd you give me this goat? And I would just yell at the top of my lungs, just like I have Tourette's on like steroids and just like, ah! And you and Caitlin would probably freak out and the goat would just go, and it would just fall over. And I wanted him to record your guys' faces
and
on
then
it.
Sugar would have eaten it.
How big is Sugar?
Cookie. Sugar Cookie is like a Target dog. She's maybe like a 40-pounder.
She ain't going to get that goat. Those goats are fast.
Wait, so
well, I don't know. It may faint and fall if it's barking at it. I don't know.
This
you probably could get to it.
The story
So I just wanted to be honest with you.
Is amazing.
And it still may happen.
I wish it would have happened.
I was going to put it in your master bedroom. That's what I really wanted. Just these little nuggets all over your floor. That'd have been great. Oh, see, that's what I couldn't do. Do you know why? I love Caitlin a lot. And I bet you Caitlin was like, what is going on?
Bouncing all over the place and taking out my newborn baby. Fucking.
Well, I know you'd be like, well, what am I going to do with this thing now? And I'm like, it's your problem.
Oh my God, it would be dropped off at Donkey Acres. But no, you guys, it's a pleasure to be, to wear the Paradyme banner. I love your whole team. I love you, the support, the opportunity that you've given me. We would not be where we are today without Paradyme. And for those of you that are listening, we just got the news today that we finished top 20, as Ryan said in the beginning, in the United States. We had a huge Paradyme year that had a lot of closings last year, which no doubt contributed to those 596 units that we closed. So thank you for the opportunity. It's crazy to believe that we're just halfway through project one and a very big project to do in the work. So,
well, I turned 40 last year and everyone says, like, how do you feel? And I said, I'm just getting started. We're just getting started. So I really appreciate the kind words, man. I love you. And we couldn't have done this without you guys either. Like I said, it's the polish. It's people that know the game. You have a huge following and those buyers knew what they needed. And you were able to articulate what we're doing because you've been a part of the project since it broke ground. You knew everything that was going on with the quality of insulation and the design and the development. So you have to articulate that when people are spending money.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's no shortfalls here. You get a lot of credit too.
Thank you.
Your whole team.
Make sure, hey, people got to stop by the Paradyme booth, Desert Storm, coming up quick.
Yep.
120 feet of lineal feet here on Main Street.
And we're all going to be wearing jerseys. You kind of can't miss us. We're all going to stand out. So yeah, can't miss we'll have the big banner. We'll have the Easy Up. I think the entire team will be there. I think you have some of your team as well.
No, super excited. A big event. So we'll be having the grand opening, the groundbreaking event for Barn Caves 2 coming up. So much going on, man.
Yep, I love it. Let's do it. Well, thanks, you guys.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. For those of you that are listening, hopefully that was fruitful for you and you get to know that me and Eric are actually really good buddies.